You can run.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Patriot Pravda podcast. This is season 2, episode 1.
Yeah, we're good to be back. I know we took a break for a while, kind of unexpectedly, but we have some life updates for you from both of us.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff going on in the world as well, and we're excited to be able to come back for a whole new season, and we'll explain it a little bit more.
Coming right up.
Hang out. Maybe grab some popcorn.
Welcome to Patriot Pravda.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He called my name when my heart stood still, when he said, man, go do my will. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that...
All right. So, season 2, episode 1.
Yeah, and like I said, I know in the introduction, I know that it was a bit of an abrupt end for the season 1. Just some stuff came up in life, and we really had to take that by the horns and wrangle it down.
Yeah, there were a lot of changes. A lot of things came up. Just so everyone knows, we are operating out of a new recording space. Temporary new recording space, because it's going to move again.
Yep, gonna move again here in probably another 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes for us. We want to, things are expanding. We want to produce a better show. We're going to start prepping to be able to live stream. If you guys have a TikTok channel, everyone nowadays has TikTok on their phone. Nearly everyone does. If you go ahead on TikTok, you look for Patriot Pravda. There is a Patriot Pravda TikTok page. You'll be able to see my lovely face on there frequently because I kind of help run that page. And my goal, and this is Luke, by the way, if you've not listened to the podcast before.
Yeah, and I'm Rob.
And so if you go on TikTok, download the app. If you don't have it, go on TikTok, follow Patriot Pravda, and make sure you subscribe to the Patriot Pravda channel on TikTok. Once we get to 1,000 followers on there, then we can start video live streaming the podcast. And that's the goal, because we're going to develop a nice new space for us to record.
An actual studio, I'm hoping.
Yeah, we want to put in some new soundproofing equipment and really kind of make this a more substantial thing. So if anyone is willing, please make sure you go on TikTok and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to do that, because we want to keep bringing you guys the best show that we can. So, updates, life updates. Who wants to start?
You can go ahead. I don't really have much that has changed in my life other than just I work remotely for 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. So that's why a number of reasons why we kind of have delayed output of our podcast.
And it's been hard the last couple of times in and out, because you work very long hours when you're away. And so it's also important that when you come back, you have that time to recharge.
Yeah.
And actually get some rest.
Yeah, because when I get home, I'm usually burnt out for at least 4 days.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy the job. Don't get me wrong. I do like doing what I'm doing. But, yeah, it's 12 to 14-hour days, sometimes even longer than that, for 21 days straight.
Yeah, and so it's tough to come back home and then roll into a podcast. And also for a time there, it had gotten extremely hard for me to even pull away from the job that I was doing in order to make time to edit or anything like that. And
we were recording late nights, starting sometimes at 9 p.m., rolling into the wee morning hours.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what we're doing right now. But that's okay. At some point in time here in the near future, we'll be doing it at a more reasonable hour, I guess, I hope. And then he'll have more time to do the editing. I'm not so great with editing myself. I could probably do it, but that's more of his forte. And I guess the life update that I do have is the fact that the roommates in my house are moving out, or have moved out, and that has freed up several rooms in the
Yes.
house. And so our plan is to convert one of those rooms into a full-time studio.
Yeah, and it'll be a good space. Right now we're using space in the new place that I moved into, so it'll be a good temporary spot until we are able to really move things into that new space. But that's gonna have to wait till your next hitch.
Yes, yeah, will.
So, but for me, like I said, there's been a lot of changes for me too. I decided to make a career move, and right now I'm looking at a job that's going to free up some time for me. It operates on a 1 week on, 1 week off kind of situation, and so hopefully that'll give me more time to edit in my off hours.
Refine some things about the show.
Right.
Yeah, etc., etc.
Yeah, and also spend some more time with my wife, which has been a struggle over the last couple years. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, because with your old job, you were basically on call, I mean, essentially 24/7.
Yeah, pretty much. And not because anything was wrong with it. That was just the
nature of the job. Yeah.
And it was important that I was there. I was heavily relied upon, and that was just the nature of it. And it got to be too much, I think. Not for me, but for my wife. And so I think in a hard but right decision was to kind of step away from that position despite how much I loved it and seek something else that'll afford me the opportunity to be around her and with her more. More than what we might have expected that she needed going in to that job. So, yeah, so a lot of changes, career move. Along with that career move, it came with a house move as well. So I did decided to send my wife on a long-term trip. She's currently down in San Diego, and we made a lot of the move up here and moved into a new place a little farther south, closer to the city, closer to Rob and his place, and deeper into the the Anchorage Bowl, as I guess you could say.
Yeah, we're in the actual city of Anchorage now instead of outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I like being closer and actually in the city of Anchorage. Although I did also like my little bit of seclusion.
Yeah, that was
there
nice.
On the outskirts.
That was nice. It was nice. It was a secluded little area, quiet. Didn't have the problems with the. We do have a homeless problem here.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
In Anchorage, it gets like -30 here.
Yeah, but I mean, there are places for the homeless to go when it gets that cold.
Yeah.
But we do have there is just like any other city afflicted right now. We're not strangers to that, so that's kind of the sad part about it. But overall, I do think it's a nice city. But like any other city as well, it seems to attract the liberals.
Yeah. It's been problematic. Now the mayor is not a liberal.
No, the one before him was.
But because of that, he does have to contend with a lot of other liberal folks in city council and things like that, and that really kind of stops him
Hampers,
up on the things that he wants to do.
It hampers his ideas. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully that kind of mess sorts it out, and then we really hope that this next political season that we as Alaskans make better choices and get rid of this ranked choice voting thing.
Yeah, that's really got to go.
Yeah, the petitions have been going around, and every time I come across it, I make sure I sign that thing.
Yep.
So we can get rid of ranked choice voting, because that was the biggest sham play that I've ever seen.
Perpetrated on the people of Alaska.
Yeah, on the voting population.
Yeah. Anywhere. It doesn't have to just be Alaska. I mean, anywhere that vote ranked choice voting is coming up, vote it down.
Yeah, because it's destroying the way things are supposed to run. You know, when the forefathers designed our system that we have, this republic system, the way we vote for our representation, things like that, you were supposed to be an informed voter. You were somebody that had some kind of community responsibility.
Right.
You know, it was very typical that those that were voting at that time period were landowners, business owners. They were educated. They had stake in the community. You know, and so it was really important that when they voted, they were educated. They knew who they were voting for. They knew what that person was about. Why it wasn't based on emotions or platitudes or pandering.
Right.
It was a very informed decision. And we've all but wholly gone away from that nowadays.
Yeah, I find it hard to find good information on any sort of candidate, be them liberal or not, or whatever their party affiliation is. I find it difficult to find good information on them,
Yeah.
and I consider maybe we can consider this or hash this out. What if it was a requirement by law that each candidate have a submission, like a pamphlet outlining their key points that they're that they're trying to run on. Not only that, but like a brief history of themselves, where they may have been educated, what their life history is like, where they've been, what they've done. I think that should be kind of I think that should be a requirement, and it should be maybe a cheap, easy to produce little pamphlet that can be mailed to the voting public.
Yeah, and there are things that are similar that are done.
Yeah, I knew that.
Sound like that, but they're typically really short.
They are.
It's typically like a little 1-paragraph blurb about who they are and where they're from.
Right.
And what they like to do in their spare time. But also, I think that would be a great idea, but the only problem with that is the public actually reading it. And so I would go even farther. I would say that we need to start having requirements for the voter as well. I think there should be certain things, because we took this power that we had as a people and lessened it and dampened it and gave it to people who, I mean, heck, I'll just say it, to people I don't think who should be doing it, who should have the power to vote. They don't contribute anything to society. They sit in their parents' basement, complain about how much the government sucks, refuse to vote, and then when they do vote for the person that's going to give them free money.
Yeah, free stuff, yeah.
And handouts and all kinds of stuff, and then they just sit in the basement naked and beanbag chair eating Cheetos, like Ron White said, and just suckle off the government teat. And it's I just, people like that shouldn't vote.
I agree.
They shouldn't be allowed to vote. You shouldn't.
You're right. You should have some sort of stake in the game. You should have a job. And I think the requirement, now this is like another little offshoot to it, but I think the requirement should be able to vote is that you should have that you should have been paying taxes of some kind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first way to start it. Maybe there's other ways to do it eventually, but I'm just saying right now, like if you've been paying income tax from from working or from your own business or something along those lines,
right? You got to contribute to society, so
not sales tax. Talking like income tax of some sort. Now, taxation is another story.
Yeah, that's a whole.
I get
problem.
it. We can go into that later. Another episode, but I think, for the purposes, I mean, obviously taxation is not going to go away for ever. I mean, maybe we can get it lessened, maybe we can get it more even, but taxation is just not going away. So I think that should be a start.
Yeah. There would have to be a lot of things that need to happen in order for taxation to go away. As much as I would like to see it go away.
Well, that would help tremendously in changing the way the government runs.
Yeah.
Because the government is bloated beyond beyond recognition from what it was
Right.
originally meant to be. And there's so many different bureaucratic organizations and nameless organizations within the federal government that do nothing but suck up dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, and we contribute so much money, so many tax dollars to stuff that we don't need to be sending.
Yeah. For example,
Money.
I just learned about this the other day, and this is more of a state thing. A state comes out of the state budget up here. It was an aerospace type of a organization at the state level, and the state had purchased a part of a building, had outfitted it with cubicles, conference tables, computers, chairs, all the different things that you need to run an office, down to like paper clips and everything. And do you know how often it was used?
Almost never.
Almost never, if anything at all.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that stuff went to a state surplus warehouse after they realized that it was not being utilized, and was sold for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. But it costs,
Because it was
cost
used,
us-
but it was brand new, and we definitely paid for it. At least at least a wholesale retail price. But that just goes to show how, if that just happens here up in this state, how much more is it that happening across the nation at state levels and federal levels?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best example today is the current foreign money laundering scheme that we call the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard for me to speculate on that. I mean, just because it irritates me so much. But I mean, that was never. I don't know. That was never. That should have been a vote for the people. That should have been an across the board vote for the people. To be honest, not just Congress.
Yeah, we've contributed so much to that, and yet they're continuing to ask for more. We've given over, I think, several $100 billion.
Yeah.
And they're asking for, I think it's over $200 billion right now.
And honestly, it's going to be a waste of money, because if you really look into the Ukraine war, there's a lot of propaganda floating around.
Yeah.
Saying that they're fighting back, and they are fighting back, but they're not going to last forever. The Russians are too big. They've got much bigger numbers of men and equipment.
Yeah, I mean, they may still suck, but
Sure,
there's a lot more.
There's
of
a
them.
lot more of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's
I mean,
just a matter of numbers at that point.
all we're doing is prolonging the suffering of individuals. The more money we send, and who knows if it's even really going. I'm sure some of it is, but I mean, I've heard that we've not only that going to the war effort, quote unquote, but we've also been subsidizing their emergency medical, fire, police.
All their
farming,
first
yeah.
responders,
I mean, we've just been subsidizing all
public
of that.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah, we, the American taxpayers, have been paying all their salaries, their salaries, their retirements, all of that. We've been paying for all of it, and not once were we, the people, asked, "Hey, do you want to pay for this?"
But the real question is why? Why are we so interested in keeping that country afloat? I mean, there were, and I'm not really familiar with the demands of the Russians as far as the war goes. I mean, the original intent of Putin in starting that ground war, I don't know. I mean, but I've heard that we could have been mediators at that table, hashed out an agreement, and a lot of innocent blood could have been spared.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of our tax dollars could have been spared.
Not only that, but just I'm talking like just in terms of lives here, both Russian and Ukrainian.
That's so true, because on both sides they've been pulling people from anywhere they can. I know in Russia that they've been conscripting guys and men of all ages from all over the country of Russia. There was a couple guys who hopped on boats and made their way across over here into Alaska to escape being pulled in,
Thrust into that,
into the Russian army to go fight.
They're doing the same thing in Ukraine too. They're trying to get every last able-bodied male, and they're also sending people to go look for Ukrainian men in other countries that they may have fled to.
It's a mess, and just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, now there is war between Israel and Hamas, the Palestinians,
Yep.
and the Gaza Strip, And there's a whole big war starting off there, and things are kind of getting spicy over there.
Yeah. I have no sympathy for Hamas.
No.
They brought that hammer down on their own heads.
Yeah, and I will take it even farther. I don't have sympathy for the Palestinian people either.
Yeah.
Because there's several reasons for that. My first reason is that when Israel decided to leave Gaza, they left it in the hands of the Palestinian people and said, "Here, you vote for whoever you want to run the deal over here. You know, our government's not going to be in charge of this anymore. You take control of it." And guess who they voted for?
Yeah, they voted.
They voted for Hamas.
Yep.
Now, granted, they may have been fooled into voting for Hamas. Hamas may have said, "Hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that." You know, they might have pulled the wool over their eyes, but they made their bed. That's who they picked. That's who they wanted to run their country. And I personally don't think the wool was pulled over their eyes because
I think they hate Jews just as much as the Hamas does.
Right. I mean, why? I mean, all these free Palestine rallies that are going on all over the world right now. If you listen to the stuff that they're saying, they scream and yell about how they don't support Hamas. They don't support Hamas. They're all about the Palestinians and free Palestine. But what are they chanting when they're walking down the streets? They're chanting things like "from the river to the sea."
Right.
And what does that mean? That means the eradication of Israel, the eradication of the Jewish people. That's what they want. Palestine and Hamas, for me, and you can call me ignorant, whatever. They're one and the same right now. And my second point is that when Hamas made that intrusion and broke into Israel, invaded, and started capturing and killing Israelis all over the place, they estimate that roughly 4,000 Palestinian civilians also broke in, made their way into Israel, abducted Israeli people, children, women, stole things, committed theft, and have had these people trapped and have been using them as sex slaves, women and children, using them as, labor slaves, or just holding them for ransom, contacting their families and then holding them for ransom. This isn't Hamas. These are just normal Palestinian civilians with little to no affiliation with Hamas. Now, a lot of them do also have affiliation with Hamas. There was a recording, you can find it online. There's a recording of a man who calls his father and is on the phone with his father, and he's saying, "Dad, you won't believe it. I just killed, I think he said, I just killed like 10 or 15 Israelis. You should have seen it. You should have been there. This is great. This is fantastic." And of course, his dad's on the other side of the phone saying, "Praise be to God, famous Allah Akbar." He's saying, "Bless you, son, bless you. I wish I could be there with you. Your mother wishes she could be there with you to see this. This is incredible. We're so proud of you. Make sure you get home safe." His parents aren't Hamas. They're just Palestinian citizens.
Yeah, it's the Muslim ideology and religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really funny because this particular group of people, the Palestinians and those that inhabit the Gaza Strip, they're so unliked in that region of the world that other Muslim countries won't take them in. Jordan won't take them in, Lebanon won't take them in, Egypt won't take them in, Turkey won't take them in, Saudi Arabia won't take them in, Iran won't take them in, because they know how much of a pain they are. And so they're unwilling to deal with them. It's just crazy what's going on over there. And in our government's normal fashion, they're trying to put together this support bill. So we send them, I think altogether the bill is going to cost us another $100 billion. We're going to go through this whole process again of sending them tons and tons of money, and they're saying that this bill is supposed to cover. They're putting it under the guise of supporting Israel, but in this bill, it's a big omnibus bill. It's full of garbage that we're sending tons of money to, like always. They never put out single issue bills for us to vote on, saying this particular thing, this money we want to send to this. Let's vote on this.
Right.
No, they put it together in a giant bill that everything is attached, and we have to send it all out at once, or vote on all of it at once. So I think of the $105 billion that they're asking for, I think it's between 30 and 40 billion of it is even going to remotely go to helping Israel. Like maybe 60 billion is going to Ukraine, and there's another several billion that are going to other projects and other things. I don't know what those things are. I haven't dug into it too much, but it's just a ridiculous amount of money that we just keep shelling out to the rest of the world. And
in the meantime, we have crazy infiltration across our own borders.
Yep.
Our highways and infrastructure are having issues. Cities are overwhelmed with drugs and homelessness and different things like that. So it just tells me that the upper echelon in our government doesn't give a rat's ass about us.
No, there's not a single person that I could think of that's fighting for us there. There's that famous clip of George Carlin. Here, actually, let me find it. Yeah, and this is what George Carlin said. Let's take a listen. It should be familiar for you.
Notice the table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich suckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know?
I agree. We are not in the big club. Oh, boy. Oh. Why do I feel a sudden urge? I have to salute or put my hand over my heart, I guess?
Start wearing red, comrades.
Comrade, we must get our hammers and sickles, yes.
That was close.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. It does seem more and more that it is a big club, and we aren't in it.
Speaking of clubs, the media is one big club.
Yes, absolutely.
And the most recent story that really comes to mind is the back to Israel there and the attack when the alleged Israel attack on a Gaza hospital.
Yeah.
That killed 500 people.
And wounded 600 more.
It's a lot of people in one hospital.
Yeah.
And
especially for a hospital.
I don't know
Gaza.
about
They're not
how big was that rocket?
About the size of a water pipe that might have been dug out of the ground out there.
Seems like a pretty high yield explosive. Oh wait,
yeah.
It was one of their own rockets. They were firing into Israel, and it malfunctioned and fell from the sky and landed in the parking lot of said hospital, and virtually sustained no damage.
Yeah. The hospital itself virtually sustained no damage. There were a few windows that were broken.
Yes, and sadly there were a few deaths.
A few cars exploded.
Yep.
Few people died, but there's definitely not over 500 deaths and 600 casualties.
And it was not Israel that fired on a hospital.
Correct.
Now, here's the other thing too: is Hamas fires rockets indiscriminately into Israel.
Correct.
and they don't care where they land.
Right.
But suddenly, even if it was Israel that fired the rocket, which it was not, but let's just say for the purposes of this situation, even if it was a rocket fired from Israel into Gaza and landed on a hospital and did kill 500 people, why are they what now all of a sudden you want to play by the rules?
Right. And that's the problem.
But they just
War crimes
4 days prior to that, they just waltzed in there and were chopping the heads off children.
Yes.
So even if that was the case, I mean, that just goes to show you how much of a club that this media really is.
Right.
I mean, they just bought it hook, line, and sinker from some Hamas spokesperson who said, yeah, they fired a rocket at us and it killed what should we say, Mohammed? Oh, 500? That sounds good. Yeah, 500 people were killed.
Yeah. War crimes for me, but not for thee.
Right.
That's how
we can kill as many Jews as we want to, no matter who they are or what their affiliation is, child or not.
Yes, let's decapitate and burn infants and then rape your women.
Yeah, but if you so much as it's just they use these talking points and their humanity is fake humanity.
Yeah, it's we're the victims because we're smaller, or we're the victims because we've continually lost every fight we've ever been in, and we still live in a third world country, and because Israel has technology and they're well put together and they're well defended, that they're the big strong meanies.
Right.
Which is just dumb beyond all reason. So yeah, it's just a nightmare, that whole situation out there. And your media comment, things being a big club, and that their continuation of their line kind of brings me to our next and final story. Makes me think of something that had gone on recently in the state of Maine. There was a shooting that had gone on. According to the media, he was a soldier who was
National Guard, if I'm not mistaken.
the dirty girls.
Yeah, the nasty girls.
The weekend warriors.
Yeah.
But was a firearms instructor, part-timer, had previously made threats to his unit. I guess local authorities and FBI were aware of such threats, but I don't know where he went. He went to a couple different locations, I believe, from what I understand. Shot a bunch of people, killed, I think the total death toll as of now is 23, but then he was still at large after that. They had been on a manhunt for him for a couple days, and then eventually they found him. But here's the kicker. There were two major news companies that had come out with the location of where he was found and how he was found. The Daily Mail. Yes. Daily Mail US said, Maine mass shooter is found dead in the woods with 2 gunshot wounds to his head, sources say. Now, good thing the Wayback Machine exists, because I'm sure that was taken down quite quickly.
Yeah, because the first headline that I read and heard of was this: Maine shooter found dead in a dumpster with self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Right. At some recycle center somewhere there in Maine.
That he used to work at.
Right. So, which one was it?
That is the million-dollar question.
Was it? Because the more the media continues to attempt to distance themselves fervently from this first release of how he was found with multiple gunshot wounds to the head, it makes me think we have some sort of situation where somebody got to him first.
Yeah, and who was it? Because I've never seen a suicide victim who's shot themselves twice in the head.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to shoot yourself in the head twice.
Yeah.
And then why are they getting... If someone did do this, now granted, this is all speculation, but if he did sustain 2 gunshot wounds to the head, who wanted to silence him or get rid of him? And if this was all planned and this was all a thing, what is this, like MK Ultra 2? Like, are we looking at another Ted Kaczynski?
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem rather strange that they would let, especially, I mean, we've been through the training, you and I. I mean, we're both veterans. You know, if someone was threatening the unit,
Right.
I would think that there would be a, especially after the Fort Hood incident many years ago,
Yeah.
you know, I would think that there'd be more caution and taking that threat rather seriously. You can't just make threats like that as a soldier within a unit and not just get a slap on the wrist. They're gonna take you,
Right.
and so why wasn't that dealt with?
Yeah. Who in his command failed? Where was the VA
Yeah,
in any of it? Because that's the one. Those are the people that are going to completely fly under the radar in this whole story. Everyone's going to be worrying about guns and firearms, and all the stupid junk that's going on. But not a single person is going to point fingers at the VA and say they screwed up in this. They continually screw up and get away with it. And I don't know. I'm going to be quiet there because I'm going to start saying some nice words.
that's also kind of a separate issue too in this. I mean, I don't. Was he even seeing the VA? Was he involved in it? You know, or was he still, you know, in his reserve status? Do we know if he was ever active duty at all?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a moot point. I mean, but what would drive a guy to do something like this? And that's another point as well. Like that's kind of digging into the psychology of it.
Right.
But
yeah, there's
a lot of weird stuff going on around.
Yeah, but before it's ever the gun's fault, there are so many more people who could be blamed for what went on.
Right.
I mean, now, granted, that's mostly the person that did it.
Right.
He is the most responsible.
Exactly. Yeah. But here's the thing too. It involved a gun. There's many other attacks that happen nationwide, especially in large cities, Chicago, Detroit, New York City, that involve other weapons too, and attacks and different things like that. And they're not nearly as heavily focused on by the media. You know, I brought somebody down to Whittier, Alaska this past year. I was talking to him down there, and he was from Manhattan. And he said, and I was talking to him about how I wanted to go visit and see the tower because I haven't been there. I want to go see the Freedom Tower because I haven't been there in over 10 years. And he's like, dude, don't come right now. It's bad. It's really bad. The city is. It's nothing like it was 10 years ago. So, you know, if you got somebody telling, you know, someone who they've just met and just having conversations with to not go to your city that you're probably proud of. I mean, New Yorkers are pretty proud of their city.
Yeah.
You know, and that was fully evident back in 2001, September 11th, when the city came together to try and heal from that attack. And, you know, it's just when someone like that tells you don't come to my city, then, you know, there's something serious going on there. And so there's a lot of violence there, a lot of random attacks. And especially now, too, with Israel being attacked, there's a lot of anti-Israel, anti-Jew groups that have risen up in that area as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is another one of those media manipulations to try and quote unquote curb gun violence through legislation, and it doesn't really matter. And those of you who are listening may even own guns, but you know that if it was mandated to, let's just say that they passed a law that no guns were allowed, zero, no tolerance, the criminals would still get guns.
Yeah,
they just would. They're criminals. I mean, there's laws right now not to steal, not to kill, not to break in, not to do this, not to do that. You name it, there's probably a law for it. Does that stop them from doing it? No. And here's the other thing, too, is a lot of times these DAs are liberal DAs and they dish out light punishments for the crimes committed. So it's just this loop, this self-continuing loop that I don't think we're going to see any sort of change. They're going to try and make guns harder to obtain, that's for sure. They're going to try to do that. They've been doing that for years, and I quite frankly think that a lot of gun laws right now are unconstitutional. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I really feel I ought to bring this up. I recently saw a clip of Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. He recently there's a clip of him that I saw online where he was talking about how there are gun laws that I can't remember if he said that are currently in place or are trying to be put in place, to where if a veteran approaches the VA for financial help, the VA immediately reports that to whatever invisible government institution they would report such a thing to, and that veteran can have their firearms taken away from them.
For needing financial help?
Yes. Here, let me find the video. So Senator John Kennedy and Jerry Moran are trying to introduce a Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act that would prevent veterans from losing their Second Amendment right to purchase or own firearms when they receive help managing their Department of Veterans Affairs benefits. So right now, this is really important. Right now, under current law, the VA is required to send a beneficiary's name to the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, NICS, whenever a fiduciary is appointed to help a beneficiary manage his or her VA benefits.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're a veteran, this is very important. I need all you veterans to listen to me. If you are a veteran and you were intending to seek fiduciary assistance in managing your benefits or your money from the VA, I recommend you do not do it, because now, according to current law, the VA is required to send your name to the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, and you will lose your right to own and bear firearms. So it says,
is that just a background check, or is that just or is that actually like putting you into a criminal database?
I'm pretty sure it sounds like it's putting you into the database.
I wonder why. What grounds they would have to do that on?
I'm not sure.
That's not talking about VA benefits such as VA disability compensation.
It does. It's not saying that if you are a beneficiary. It's just saying if you're seeking fiduciary help. So a fiduciary, for those who don't know, is someone who manages money or property for someone else. So if you're seeking help from somebody in the VA system to help you manage your benefits and things like that, or manage your money, or take control of managing that stuff because you can't, or you having a hard time doing so, if you do that, you can potentially lose your Second Amendment rights. Senator Kennedy said, "Every veteran who bravely serves our country has earned VA benefits, and it's wrong for a government to punish veterans who get a helping hand to manage those benefits. Veterans who sacrifice to defend our Constitution shouldn't see their own rights rest on the judgment of unelected bureaucrats, but right now they do. The Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act would prevent government workers from unduly stripping veterans of their right to bear arms." Senator Jerry Moran, who is a co-signer or co-creator of the bill, said, "Veterans should not have to choose between seeking help from the VA to manage their benefits and forfeiting their Second Amendment rights. Our nation's policies should encourage veterans to utilize the services provided by the VA rather than driving them away by denying them their due process." So, yes, this is a very, very important message. I felt that needed to get shared in this podcast, because it kind of goes along with what we're talking about with guns and rights and veterans and all the stuff that's going on. And I can't imagine that this case in Maine is going to help that issue.
No, it's not.
So please be aware, if you're a veteran, you go to the VA for care, be aware of what you tell them. Be careful what you tell them, because they may be on your side and they may act like they're on your side, and then all of a sudden you have the FBI or ATF knocking on your door to retrieve your weapons from you because you've been reported in some background check system to be struggling, and the VA doesn't think that you're well enough on your own to be able for you to own a firearm to defend yourself with. So please be very, very careful. And lastly, I did have one quick video I felt to just grind your gears on the way out.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
And it's from the Washington Post. It's Washington Post Shorts. It's their YouTube Shorts channel. And it's called Why Americans Love AR-15 Rifles. So first scene starts off, or it says the AR-15 rifle over the years. And you can probably find it on their thing. It's called Why Americans Love AR-15 Rifles. Go ahead and look it up on YouTube, Washington Post Shorts. But here we go.
You guys want to buy the AR-15? It was designed for the military, but you can also hunt animals with it. What, that black rifle, the one without wood on it? Here in the early 1960s, we don't like rifles without wood on them. Yeah, it's not trendy. Hey, you guys want to buy the AR-15? It's for self-protection. We are worried about rising crime rates. And your ads showing police using AR-15s have made them more legitimate to me, a prospective buyer. Hey, you guys want to buy the AR-15? Nope, you can't. President Clinton just banned assault rifles. Hey,
That was the 1990s.
a prospective buyer. Hey, you guys want to buy the AR-15? Nope, you can't. President Clinton just banned assault rifles. Hey, you guys want to buy the AR-15? The federal assault weapons ban expired. With the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, I find the militarization of your advertising very appealing. I want the one with camo on it. Hi, I'm with the Washington Post and we're doing a survey. Why do you own an AR-15? 65% of us cited protection as a major reason. 63% of us cited it's fun to shoot as a major reason. Did you know 10 of the 17 deadliest mass killings since 2012 involved AR-15s?
Yes. The very end scene, he gets a notification of another mass shooting on his phone. And he pulls it up. And it says, mass shooting, shooter uses AR-15 style weapon. And it said, Nashville, shooter uses AR-15 style weapon. You know the AR-15 style weapon that the Nashville shooter used? That they're saying is an AR-15 style weapon? It wasn't an AR-15.
What was it?
It was a Kel-Tec Sub 2000. So not an AR-15.
Not an AR-15 at all.
And then she also had an AK variant that is a whole other operating system from an AR-15.
Yeah, it's a completely different weapon.
So yeah.
Well, here's something to think about. So when they can go back and recover every single light and heavy arms from Afghanistan that they so unwisely left behind
Yep.
in the disastrous pullout of Afghanistan,
Yep.
then maybe I'll give some thought to what they're saying on the Washington Post. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. And
because you want to talk about responsibility and irresponsibility. My AR-15 is currently locked away in a safe right now, perfectly fine, not hurting anybody. But all those M4s and M16s and M240 Bravos and 249s and M2s and Mark 19s and all different weapons that were left over there in Afghanistan, thousands and thousands of them, have reappeared.
Yes.
Guess where they've reappeared?
Well,
Israel.
They've reappeared in Israel. They've reappeared, I believe, in attempts to come across the border. They've reappeared in France. They've reappeared in, I think, Germany. Yeah, they've reappeared in several other countries.
Yeah, so don't talk to me about AR-15s and how they're so deadly and they're assault weapons and how they should be banned from being bought by the American public. Yeah, tell me more about how that's supposed to keep people safe.
Yeah, and that last argument, that last little bitty argument that he had in there was like the dumbest part. Well, 63% of Americans I like to use it for self-protection. Yeah. Like,
So what?
why is that a bad thing?
What am I supposed to use? A 50. So hold on a second. What were the calibers of the old muskets back in the day? Like 52. They were an oddball caliber. They were weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
it's like approximately, between 52 and I think there were even some larger caliber ones that were in the 70s.
Yeah,
range.
some quite large. Yeah, so I'll just use a 70 cal musket to defend my home. I'll get about, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them because they take a long time to reload.
Keep them preloaded.
And then we'll just shoot an intruder with that, and we'll see how his wounds are compared to an AR. I think the AR is a little more survivable.
Yeah, keep like 7 or 8 of them preloaded like they did in the Patriot.
Right. Yeah.
like Mel Gibson's sons are back there loading them.
And I'm not talking about just rifles, too. There's those flintlock pistols that were quite large caliber.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine getting hit with one of those?
Just give me a good blunderbuss and I'm all right.
Yeah. So let's because I did hear
grape
about
shot.
grape shot. Oh boy. Yeah, you've got my gears wound up on that one and really grinding on that one.
Yeah, musket from that close a proximity, that high caliber would just, it would be nasty.
Yeah, it would not be good. Yeah, I don't care where you get hit.
It would be so bad.
Yeah, it'd be barbaric, But the AR-15, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a smaller caliber, much, much, much smaller, slightly larger than a 22. However, it does have a lot more power behind it.
Right.
More survivable
Oh,
than the old 52 to 70 cal rifles. The problem is back then the calibers were not necessarily all uniformed. I think they weren't really uniform until the American Army, the U.S. Army, started during the American Revolution, were purchasing weapons of the same caliber, et cetera, et cetera. But back then there was just so many different,
because people were using. There wasn't a standardized military rifle. There were people using their hunting rifles.
Yeah, and there were vast amount of manufacturers that were making,
Right.
maybe 1 to 2 rifles a month, all the way up to the larger manufacturers.
Yeah, there was no standardization.
There was nothing. Yeah, there was no standardization of ammunition. But yeah, so if they want me to do that, then we can switch to that.
You could be like Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
Create a small narrow corridor in your house, and at the end of the corridor, place a cannon.
Right. Yeah.
And then once you use the cannon, steel line the entire hallway, so you have no pass throughs. And then once you use the cannon, just make every intention to stand there with the biggest blade that you have, and just take them on one at a time.
Right. But those who attack me are going to have modern weapons.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to attack me, if they're going to break into my home, or if they're going to try to rob me, or et cetera, they're going to have the most modern weapons that they can get their hands on, so that they have superior firepower.
Yeah, I mean, you can also, you could also pull a Cassius Clay in the way they just rigged the whole place to explode.
There's that too, yeah.
just in case they think they might have gotten away with it. Oh no.
No, they didn't get away with it.
You're taking them out with you.
Yeah. You could get the old artillery with the beehive rounds.
Yeah.
Which fire 13,000 little darts.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. Mm-hmm. Has anyone ever heard of flechettes? Those suck.
Yeah.
Those little tiny metal darts. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure you get flechette shotgun shells, like 12 gauge shells.
Dragon's breath.
Oh yeah. Nasty.
I don't think you want to fire that in the house, though.
No. But yeah, so just everyone, I guess in closing, just be aware of what's going on in the world. Be ready for anything that comes along. Prepare yourself, because it's going to be so much better for you to be prepared for when things happen than to be unprepared.
Yeah, it's a very unpredictable future that we have right now. It's a very odd time to be alive. These are very turbulent times. I mean, things have changed faster than any time in history. I mean, you go back to the 90s and things were just I think things were a lot better, and that's not that long ago.
Right.
But things are just changing so rapidly. And you just got to I don't know if you can be fully prepared for the rapidness of change, but I mean, you can't just sit there and do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So, but above all, too, God is in control. He's still on the throne. I mean, that's another thing we want to talk about here too. Is the aspect of Christianity and spirituality, and above all that Christ is our Savior.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we can get a little crass on the show. Sometimes just a hair, but we are both Christian men, and that doesn't mean we need to be beta males. God, Christ was a man. God tells us to refer to him as a man or as a male. And so, there's an aspect of toughness to God. I don't think there's just an aspect. He is tough.
Yeah.
And so we as men need to be, I think we need to have that part as well in us as well. God created man, and he created a man for a purpose.
Yeah.
And so he's endowed us with those aspects, those attributes.
Yeah. And part of that is being honest,
Sure.
straightforward,
Yep.
brave, resolute, understanding what truth is, having a life on a basis of truth.
Yeah, and standing for
biblical
it.
truth and standing on it.
Yep.
And not cowering back or shutting up or hiding because whatever you might be saying is an unpopular opinion.
Right.
Because if there's anything we know nowadays, everybody is so willing to be hurt by something that's said. And you could be the nicest person ever, say in the most cordial way ever, and someone is going to have some kind of heartache about whatever you
something
said.
negative to
Someone's
say.
going to be hurt.
The other thing we need to do, and I've been hearing this a lot lately, is they're trying that calling everything racist until they control it and own it and things like that. And they've been calling a lot of conservative people racists. Conservative politicians, conservative radio, podcast, TV, all those different hosts.
Wouldn't be my first time, won't be the last.
Yeah, and so it's just like, they want to call us racist or different names or things like that. Just be like, okay, you want to call me that? Doesn't mean that I am. I'm not, but you can keep calling me that till you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to let it. It's just like the bully in high school. Just let him.
Like mom used to say, water off a duck's back.
Yeah, it is what it is. They do it to try and get a rise out of you, and if they don't get a rise out of you, then maybe eventually they'll stop. I don't know, but that's what they've been doing, is just calling things and people racists until they control it.
Right.
In conclusion, welcome to Patriot Pravda.
Yep.
We're glad you're here. Season 2, episode 1. We're going to do a little bit of reformatting in season 2, and we hope that you'll continue to listen to us.
Yeah, a lot of upcoming changes, and there are going to be. We have 2 previously recorded shows
From season 1. Yep.
from season 1 that will be uploaded. So keep on the lookout for those. Now, granted, some of the topics that are in those shows are
Dated. Yep.
but
Legitimate.
yeah, legitimate and still worthwhile listening to. I think actually the last two episodes that have not been uploaded yet, those new hidden episodes. I'm gonna call them the hidden episodes.
Bonus.
Yes, bonus episodes. Those 2 weren't very time constricted. They're both about certain topics that I think are still worthwhile listening to.
Oh yeah, they weren't time constrained by current events. They were more broad.
Yeah, they're more broad concepts and stuff like that. So worthwhile listening to. I promise it'll be good. Again, make sure if you have TikTok, go on, find the TikTok channel. and subscribe to the Patriot Pravda TikTok channel. You can also find us on all other social medias. I will say I'm not nearly as active on those social medias. TikTok is the fastest and easiest way to get to me because that's the one that I've been most successful on. And so I want to not waste my time with other ones that don't get a lot of traction. It's the one I have the most traction on. So I will be on TikTok. So if you find our TikTok channel, you can follow us, you can send a message, you can send likes, you can comment on the videos that are currently on there. There's several videos already you can watch and kind of catch up on what's going on over there. And if you comment, you can send me a message if you subscribe. And follow me, I'll follow you back. And let's grow this group. Oh, and lastly, what do we want to call this group of Patriot Pravda folks that listen to this show?
Maybe we should put it out to a vote to them somehow, maybe on TikTok.
We could.
Blue Coats was my idea.
Yes, there's Blue Coats, and then there's Minutemen. Or I think the next most popular one was the Militia.
Yeah.
I think those were the top three.
We could put it to a vote.
So, yes. So, Blue Coats, Minutemen, or the Militia. If you have anything, go ahead and make sure you go find us on the TikTok channel. Send us a message. Tell us what you want. Or if not, if you can see this on whatever platform you're on, make sure you like and comment there as well. So, without further ado, this was Patriot Pravda, episode 1 of our new season.
God bless
America.
Backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He called my name when my heart stood still, when he said, man, go do my will. Go tell that long-tongued lie.